All right, here we go. So we're going to move on to the detail menu. And with the detail menu here, we're going to talk about sharpening. Now, the key thing with sharpening is we want to have a 1-to-1 ratio. So you'll notice here in the navigator, I'm 1-to-1 here. And you really want to be looking at something that was in focus. So make sure you have an area of the photo that's in focus. So like the back of the head here is out of the focus, where the eyelashes are on this mannequin, the nose bridge, these areas are in focus, and that's going to help us out a lot better. So make sure you have stuff that's in focus. Now, with the general rule here on sharpening here is that if you look, there's a red. The red's kind of extreme, and over here is kind of our normal range. Now, there are some differences, and I have a little handout where I kind of talk a bit more about sharpening, and I talk a little bit more about some of your presets and stuff like that for sharpening. I'm going to go over just how to use the tool in this video, though. So right now, if you look at this, as I go right, you might notice that there's a little bit more pop. So I'm going to take it down, and I'm going to go extreme, and you're going to start to see there's a bit of a grittiness to the whole thing. So this is at 150%. So I'm going to take it back down, and watch what happens when I hit about 80. So at about 80, and then I'll take it back. So here again is about 80. And it's pretty noticeable here. So we're going to say that about the 80 to 100, that's going to be kind of our normal range if we want to make people's facial features pop, like eyelashes, hair, things like that. We don't usually go above 100. So 80 to 100. You may go higher than that for some situations like in landscape, but 80 to 100 is kind of a normal range here. Now on the radius, here's a trick. Hold down on the amount, here's a trick. So if you hold down the option key, you'll see that it goes gray, and you might be able to see it a little bit stronger. So I can see the gradient more. So I'm going to take it back down to 80, and then I'm going to use that same trick on radius. I'm going to hold down my option key, and I'll click on radius. So it looks sort of like high pass filter in Photoshop if you're used to that. And the key thing here is sharpening is all about edge contrast. So where you see the greatest difference, like black and white, that's where you get edge contrast, and it's going to look sharper. So as I move to the right, you're going to get more of that look. And as you move to the left, it's going to look kind of like a gray mass. So what you want to do in general is, like, if the eyes are something you're concerned about, or the area in focus, you want to make sure that that area is what's popping. Don't go past that point. Now, as a rule of thumb, probably it's going to be somewhere between 1.0 and 2.0. When you go past the 2.0, typically that's a bit much. So we can kind of sort of play around here. So here's the radius. I went to 1.1. Now the detail takes care of the stuff that's not quite as strong, and you really have to use the option key on the detail here. And what I'm looking for mainly is that grittiness in the flat areas. So look right in these parts here. If you option click this and you go right, you're going to see that grittiness pop up. So the higher it goes, the more grittiness. And if you take it down, you're going to see less gradient. So to me, use of the detail is going to be somewhere between around 30 or less. But I'll control it even more in just a moment with the masking. So if I take the masking, option click it, this is what happens. It starts off white, and as you go right, you'll see that the areas that are less in focus are going to appear black first. And it's like it just kind of knows it's sort of following here. So I'll get it to a point where most of that skin-ish area on the mannequin is black, and so that area is not being sharpened at all, and the areas like these features right here are popping up quite a bit. So I'll do it like that, and then I may even actually go back and increase my sharpening some. I might even increase my radius some, and if I don't see it too gritty here, then I know I'm good. So I'll go back. Here's before I started sharpening, and now I'm going to take it back here, and I'm looking for a noticeable difference, especially somewhere around the lashes. So before, after, and I can see the lashes area pop quite a bit when I did that, about that amount of sharpening.